the single mom, the truth, and the timing. When to say who is and how.
We believe that God blessed us so that we can be a channel of blessings to others.
We made this channel so we can bless other people.
So there's baking, there's cooking, there's working out.
There are dogs, our adventures, our travels.
Hi, I'm Mickey.
I'm Bettina.
And I'm Gummy, and this is
A Blessing Channel! But for those of you who've been following this series, we have arrived at this point kung saan pwede nyo nang masagot ang pinakakinakatakutan yung tanong, the most dreaded question of every single mom. Who is my daddy? Now that we've discussed forgiving yourself, forgiving others, and forgiving the father of your child, I believe you are ready to finally and freely talk to your children objectively about their father and what really happened. Okay, first question is from Bani Banii. When is the right time po to tell our kids about their father who left them? Do we need to do that? Thank you. Similarly, Mimi_CLS is also asking, I want to tell her the truth, but I know she's too young to understand the real reason. You know, one thing I really learned in managing this situation is to really depend on the Lord for wisdom, for timing, and for the right words to say. Kasi syempre, iba-iba tayo ng sitwasyon, di ba? But what really helped me respond to Gummy when she asked me these questions is first to remember to just answer the question she's asking and answer based on the readiness of the child. So if you think that your child is emotionally ready, kaya niya yung piece of truth na ibibigay mo, then go for it. But if you think the question, hindi pa siya ready, okay lang. Pwede mong i-delay yung pagsagot niyan. Besides, ikaw lang naman ang nakakakilala sa anak mo. So base it on how emotionally ready do you think your child is. Number 2, to answer the current question being asked. Kasi one thing I noticed, and I also experienced is, ang tanong lang sa'yo ng anak mo ay, who is my dad? Pero yung isip mo, nandun ka na sa eksena ng pagpapakilala. Nandun na sa drama, nandun na sa hirap. Pero ito lang naman yung tinatanong ng bata. And most of the time, kung ano lang yung tinatanong ng bata, yun lang yung gusto nilang malaman. Ngayon, kung mga anak yun, depende na sa'yo kung sasagutin mo yung mga succeeding questions. But I really suggest that when your kids ask, you pray, and then you just answer the question that they're asking. Itong mga ganitong topic naman, hindi naman one time, big time, isang usapan, isang bagsakan eh. Hindi siya nabubuo sa isang upuan. But every moment, every opportunity that you have, I pray that you'll always be truthful, completely truthful. You don't want to start a string of lies. Third is to be honest with your child and to be very careful with the terms that you'll use. So dito, pinaka-beneficial yung pag-resolve mo ng anger issues mo. Kung ano man yung ill feelings mo towards the father of your child, dito magmamanifest yung forgiveness mo. Kasi syempre, kung wala kang dinaramdam about that person, walang lalabas na mga masasamang salita, di ba? So when your heart is clear of any unforgiveness, any anger, any hatred, any bitterness or resentment towards a father, then you are not likely to say bad things about the father. Fourth, you can tell your child if you're not ready to answer her question. In the same way that if you think your child is also not ready for the answer, then you can say, I don't think you'll understand yet. Or, I will tell you when you're older. I'll answer at a later time, when you're more mature. You can use those terms. Kasi kung totoo naman talaga, di ba? I remember the first time Gummy asked me about her dad. She was 2 weeks away from being 4. I was driving. She was on my lap. Patawad ko. She was on my lap. Mabagal lang naman, tsaka malapit na kami sa bahay. I was driving, she was on my lap. And then she asked me the question. Kasi prior to that, madalas niya naman ako tinatanong, how do you make babies? So I answer her very directly, you know, when man and a woman love each other, they get married, and then they do an act that's very intimate. It's called sexual intercourse. So, very biological and straightforward yung answer ko sa kanya. And then, when she asked me that question that day, I said, but you know na, right? I told you na. Kasi ang daming beses niya nang tinanong, ang daming beses ko na rin sinagot. Yun pala, kasi ang follow-up question niya ay, so who's your partner making me? So ako, habang nag-drive ako, sobrang nastanong ko dun sa tanong. I wasn't ready. You know what I did? Before that question, ang pinag-uusapan namin Barbie. Si Barbie at saka si Ken. At saka yung aso. Yung aso nila. So, dinivert ko na yung attention niya. Sabi ko na lang, what nga is the name of the dog of Barbie, of Ken? Ginanon ko na lang because I was so stunned. I wasn't ready. But the next time that she asked, my answer to her question was sufficient for that time. Alam niyo, yung mga anak natin, pag nagtanong naman, hindi sila one time, big time. Itatanong lahat yung buong history, saan sila nanggaling, origin, and all. Usually, one at a time lang yan. And you cannot predict when they will ask you next. That's why nga, like what I said, this is really a case where you want to continuously depend on the Lord for wisdom. And lastly, the goal here is for us to make our children feel safe. We want our kids to come to us when they want to know something. Gusto natin na tayo yung source of truth ng mga anak natin. Na they can come to us and ask us anything and we will be ready to answer or ready to say if we're not ready to answer. Hindi yung basta i-dismiss lang natin sila. Kasi imagine mo, if galit ka dun sa tatay, every time magtatanong yung anak, anong reaction mo? Of course, you shoo away the child, you shy away from the question, or baka mag-manifest ka pa ng anger mo, magalit ka pa, mainis ka, maging irritable ka, diba? So, anong consequence nun? Pinapakita mo sa anak mo na ayaw mong pag-usapan yan. Paano kung may gustong malaman yung bata? So, sa iba maghahanap, sa iba magtatanong. And I don't think we want that. I know that we want to be the source of truth of our children. Timing is not really set in stone. Hindi natin masasabi when they will ask, when they will ever want to meet. Kasi syempre bata yan curious yan. And it's always, ang underlying question yan is, sino ba ako? Yun, I think it's really a question of the child's identity. The child is trying to make sense of his or her identity. And iba-iba din yan, depende sa readiness mo, ng heart mo, depende sa level of maturity ng anak mo. So, it's both mental, emotional, but above all, I believe it's really a spiritual matter. So, we should really ask the Lord what to say at all times. Do we need to do that? Ang tanong mo, I believe so. Kasi parte ng identity nila Bahagi yan ng sagot sa tanong na, sino ba ako? Next, from Pelias Katrina Luis. What should I tell my daughter if the day comes when she would ask me why we are not living with her dad? I don't know exactly what your situation is, but I suggest that you definitely tell the truth. You should tell your child the truth. We should always tell the truth to our children. It doesn't have to be all at once, yung explanation. It can be kung ano lang yung sa tingin mo madadigest ng bata sa edad niya. Let's say may family na yung biological father niya. You can tell her that. And you can tell her why. You can say na that your relationship didn't end up in marriage. You can share the reasons. Be careful with the terms, again. Basta ang importante maging honest ka. If tanongin sa akin ni Gami to, I will say, because we're not married, and because we're not married, we're not supposed to be living under the same roof. Because that's a sin, cohabitation or living in that sin. For us, as Christians, we should be honest and truthful at all times. You don't want to lie even once. Be careful of lying the first time they ask. Kasi when you lie, you're going to start a string of lies. You also don't want to just create a safe environment for your child, an open one, but one that is founded on integrity. Na kahit masakit, kahit mahirap, uupuan at pag-uusapan dahil kailangan. Gone are the days when we can be, just dismissive and passive about very important matters like this, especially those that have to do with the identity of our kids. I suggest that you really continuously pray to the Lord for wisdom, pray for the right words to say, pray for your heart's preparedness and your daughter's heart's readiness to receive the truth also. Alam mo, naniniwala ako na hindi natin kailangan baliin ang katotohanan para lang hindi sila masaktan. Kasi kung masakit talaga yan. And it's okay. From Trethel Dax, how do you prepare yourself when your daughter asked you about her dad and what went wrong in the process of the relationship? Alam mo, pray talaga. Ako ang prayer ko simula nung magkahiwalay kami ng biological father ni Gami. I was really asking the Lord for help, not just financial help, but help to forgive. Kasi ayokong maging bitter. So I really had to pray for healing, for God to heal my heart. Kasi I know whatever feelings I have about Him or towards Him will affect my child, will manifest in my child, will come out in my child. And in the same way that God provides wisdom, provides grace, and fixes your heart, God will also prepare the way and make a way for that moment to come for you and your child to sit down and discuss about who their father is and what happened in your relationship. And minsan, it's not even the child asking. Sometimes God will make a way where it's the mom initiating that conversation even without the child asking. And mine came in 2018. I was invited to give my testimony in church. That was July 1 of 2018. While I was fasting and praying, and at the same time preparing for my testimony, to give my testimony at the end of that week, that Sunday, God really moved in my heart to initiate a conversation with Gami about her dad. Kasi na-convict ako, na-realize ko na sa lahat ng mga invitations ko to give my testimony, I never brought her. I realized that the reason why was because I was not comfortable having her there and letting her hear my story in full. And I realized na I don't want to go up the pulpit and share my testimony in church and feel awkward because nandun yung anak ko at marinig niya for the first time, or that I would be able to say everything in full because nandun yung anak ko, because hindi niya pa alam yung bahagi na yun ng kwento. And I didn't want to be parang restrained in that way. I wanted to freely tell my story and how the Lord worked in my life. And of course, inevitably, mapag-uusapan yung tatay niya. I called her. I told her that I got invited to give my testimony in church. And I told her what that testimony was. And I said, it's a story of how God changed your life. It starts with how you were before, how you encountered God, what changed in you, and what's your new life now? What's your life like now? So what's your life like before? So I told her, sabi ko, Mommy was a party girl in college. I was a very rebellious daughter. I didn't like obeying my parents. I didn't like honoring my curfew. I liked boys a lot. I would drink alcohol. I would even smoke. I would party. I would club. I would drive drunk. So sinabi ko sa kanya yung mga baho nung nakaraan ko, yung kung paano ako without shame, because a part of me also wanted to let her know how I was before. Hindi man niya naabutan, pero siguro kung ano yung makikita niya sa akin ngayon, makukumpara niya. Parang ano ba yung buhay na wala si Kristo at ano ba yung buhay na may Kristo ka? Kahit pa sa murang isip niya na yan. And she was, 7 years old at that time. And then I told her na, I like boys a lot and I felt like I couldn't live without a boyfriend, so I would have one boyfriend after another. And when we break up, I would get drunk so that I would forget the heartache or the heartbreak and I'll forget the problem. But it doesn't really solve it. When I wake up, my problem is still there. One boyfriend after another until your dad. After she said, "So you mean I have a daddy? I have a daddy?" Sabi ko, yeah, you have a daddy. Can I tell my friends I have a daddy? Can I tell my yaya I have a daddy? Yeah. Do you know I have a daddy? Parang napakalaking revelation sa kanya. And then after my story, she was so happy and And she went back to me and I felt like para ko siyang binigyan ng piraso ng puzzle ng puso niya. Na ito, may tatay ka. Hindi ko alam kung palaisipan sa kanya yon na may tatay ba ako. Tinanggap niya talaga na baka ibang pamilya, isa lang ang magulang. Dahil isa lang magulang, isa lang yung nagsilang sa kanya sa mundong to. And so, for her to say and to receive that piece of information with joy really broke my heart. So all this time pala, ang hindi ko namamalayan na ituturo ko sa anak ko ay na isa lang ang magulang niya. And that's not completely true. So for me to be able to say that to her, para rin ako nabunutan ng tinig. I was completely honest with my child. It wasn't a conversation na bunga ng pangungulit niya o ng pagtatanong niya. No. It was one where God orchestrated so that I am prepared and I can freely talk to my child and tell her that she has a dad. She said, "Mom, did he go back to get me?" Hindi ko maintindihan yung tanong niya. But I knew in her tiny heart what she was trying to ask was, did he love me? Did he want me? Did he come back for me? As a parent, parang kahit ano man yung sakit or galit or hinanakit ko man sa ama niya, I cannot bear to say, no, he doesn't love you, no, he didn't love you. Really, I believe that there's no parent who doesn't love their children. There's no father who does not love their kids, even if they neglected, even if they don't support. Maybe they just don't know how to be one. Maybe they just don't know how to be a father. Maybe they're just not ready to be one. Ang point ng buong conversation ay malinawan yung bata sa pagkatao niya. Sino ba ako? Saan ba ako galing? And I think that's very basic. And for us, as a single mom, to be able to give that to our kids, it helps complete their picture of themselves, of who they are. What did I learn from that time that I can share with you? Our kids can learn from our mistakes. We should be very honest with them. Our hope is that because they know, they won't. Telling our kids the truth and telling them about their dad is really for their identity. She asked fewer questions. For that time, my answers were enough. Telling them about their father. Hindi mo pwedeng ihiwalay yung konteksto. Hindi mo pwedeng ihiwalay yung backstory. Hindi mo pwedeng sagutin yun nang hindi kasama yung buong kwento. I pray that you really lean on the Lord for prayer talaga on this. Min in Xiong, did Gummy know who her real father is? I'm a single mom for 9 years. Plinano ko na wag na sanang makilala ng anak ko kung sino ang tatay niya, pero hindi yun napigilan ng pagkakataon. Since malaman niya, umaasa siya na maybe one day matanggap siya o maramdaman lang niya na may tatay siya. Did you experience this kind of pain? If you're asking kung kilala ni Gummy by name, yes, alam niya yung pangalan niya. But because we parted ways when Gummy was barely 6 months, so wala nang memory si Gummy. I'm so sorry to hear this. Yan din yung isang fear ko dati, yung mag-cross yung landas nila tapos hindi ready yung anak ko. Or hindi rin ready yung tatay niya, hindi ready sa kung anong sasabihin, kung paano magre-react, de-deny ba, or what, di ba? Parang sa mga pelikula. All I can say is for you to keep praying for your son and to use this time, use this pain, kung ano man yung nararamdaman niya, to minister to him. Kasi wala tayong control sa sitwasyon, sa mga pagkakataon. Just be present with him through this pain. And make sure that you're that person that he can open up to, will not dismiss his thoughts, will not invalidate his feelings. You're just there and ready to listen and ready to receive. One thing I'm learning as a parent is that we cannot shield our children from pain. We cannot fully protect them from pain. But what we can do to prepare them for it, this is an opportunity for us to build their character. I suggest that together, ibaling nyo yung atensyon nyo, yung puso nyo sa Panginoon. He who claims and who declares that He is Father to the fatherless, siya na willing umako sa pagiging ama. Siya who takes your son as His own and tells him, I am your Father. He is your perfect Heavenly Father. He will never fail him. even if his earthly father does. How do you tell a child what dating is? I have a new partner now after 5 years of raising my son alone. Is it okay that he assumes he is the father? I've gotten used to being single, which makes me feel a little hesitant to be in a relationship again. Tips? Advice? Hindi ka ba natakot na baka hindi matanggap ni Gummy yung asawa mo na dahil sanay siyang dalawa lang kayo? Paano po nagkasundo at tinanggap ng husband at anak niyo ang isa't isa? Was there ever a time you considered going back to your ex para buo pamilya niyo ni Gummy? Dating questions plus marriage heart prep for the single mom next week on a Blessing Channel. See you!